A herd of elk moves through a valley, calm but alert. Then the silence breaks. A thunderous charge explodes from the trees. Not a stealthy predator, an avalanche of muscle and fury. The grizzly bear barrels forward, its sheer mass scattering the elk like leaves in the wind. One stumbles, and in seconds, it's over. What makes this beast one of the most feared land predators in the world? Let's find out. Hunting strategies. Grizzly bears are not traditional hunters. They're opportunistic predators, part scavenger, part ambusher, and when necessary, part chaser. Unlike the stealthy leopard or the coordinated wolf pack, the grizzly style is more direct and forceful. It uses its massive frame to overpower prey, relying on raw strength rather than strategy. Moose calves, deer, elk, and even bison have all fallen victim to a well-timed charge from a grizzly bear. When it does hunt, the grizzly often employs a sit-and-wait approach near rivers, game trails, or carcasses. During salmon season, it becomes a fishing specialist, standing midstream and swiping fish from the water with surprising speed. Cubs learn this technique early, sometimes practicing for hours before landing their first catch. This patience and timing are rare for such a large predator. In tundra or alpine environments, grizzlies will dig into rodent burrows or tear apart logs for insects and small mammals. Their long claws and powerful limbs make them effective at unearthing prey that would remain unreachable for other predators. Whether it's brute force or surprising finesse, the grizzly adapts to whatever hunting method gets the job done. Physical strengths. Few predators on Earth can match the grizzly bear in raw physical dominance. Adult males can weigh between 600 and 1,200 pounds, and some individuals in Alaska have exceeded 1,500 pounds. Standing on their hind legs, they can reach up to 9 feet tall. This size alone is enough to intimidate, but it's the explosive strength beneath the fur that truly terrifies. A grizzly's forelimbs are engineered for power. They can swipe with enough force to break a moose's back or decapitate smaller prey. It's estimated that one blow from a grizzly can exert over 2,000 psi. This isn't just muscle, it's a weaponized body built for confrontation. Despite their bulk, grizzlies can run at speeds of 35 miles per hour over short distances. This speed allows them to close in on prey in open terrain with terrifying speed. Add in their endurance and climbing ability, and the grizzly becomes a predator that defies expectations. It's not just strong, it's mobile, durable, and explosive. Social structure. Grizzly bears are mostly solitary. Each adult occupies a range that can span up to 600 square miles in remote wilderness. These ranges may overlap, but direct encounters are rare outside of mating season, or salmon-rich rivers where temporary tolerance exists. In those brief communal settings, size often dictates access to food. Mothers and cubs form the strongest social bonds in grizzly society. A sow will stay with her cubs for up to 2.5 years, fiercely protecting them and teaching them how to forage, fish, and defend themselves. These maternal lessons are essential, as young bears must learn quickly or risk becoming prey themselves to wolves, other bears, or starvation. Communication among grizzlies involves deep growls, huffs, and jaw-popping sounds. Scent marking is also common. They rub trees, claw bark, and leave tracks to signal their presence. These signs help grizzlies avoid one another and prevent unnecessary conflict. While not social in the traditional sense, they are highly aware of territory and hierarchy and willing to fight to maintain their place. Habitat and range. Grizzly bears are found in North America, mainly in Alaska, western Canada, and parts of the northwestern United States. Once widespread across the continent, their range has drastically shrunk due to human expansion. Today, they inhabit forests, mountain valleys, tundra, and river basins, anywhere remote and wild enough to support their needs. They prefer habitats with dense cover, access to fresh water, and plentiful food sources. Salmon runs, berry thickets, and open meadows filled with prey animals make for prime territory. In some regions, grizzlies climb to alpine heights during summer. following food sources like marmots and roots buried under rocky soil. Territorial behavior is strong. Bears will defend productive feeding areas, especially in the fall when they prepare for hibernation. During this season, grizzlies consume up to 90 pounds of food per day, rapidly gaining weight. Their massive ranges and seasonal movements make them hard to track and even harder to predict. We've seen how deadly a grizzly can be, but here's something wild. Grizzlies can smell food from over 20 miles away. That's not a myth. Their sense of smell is estimated to be 2,100 times better than a human's. Imagine a predator that knows you're coming, long before you even enter its forest. Diet and feeding habits. Grizzlies are omnivores, but don't let that word fool you. They are apex predators through and through. Their diet is incredibly diverse. Berries, roots, salmon, carrion, rodents, moose calves, and even adult ungulates. They've also been seen raiding bird nests, cracking open insect hives, and digging up burrowing animals. When hungry, nothing is off the menu. Their feeding strategy is opportunistic. In coastal areas, salmon become a primary food during runs. Inland, they rely more on large herbivores and seasonal vegetation. Grizzlies consume huge quantities of food in fall, a process called hyperphagia. During this time, they eat nearly non-stop, building fat reserves that can carry them through long hibernations without eating or drinking. They're not just eaters, they're diggers, crushers, and hoarders. With their claws and strength, they can tear open logs, turn over massive rocks, and dig several feet into the ground. Whether fishing, hunting, or foraging, every behavior is driven by one goal: eat enough to survive the harsh winter and dominate their territory until the snow falls again. Reproduction and life cycle. Grizzly bears reproduce slowly, which makes each generation critically important to the population's survival. Mating season peaks between May and July. During this time, males roam vast areas searching for receptive females, often sparking violent confrontations between rivals. A male may court a female for several days, shadowing her movements and fending off challengers. Once a pair bonds, they may stay together for a week, mating multiple times before parting ways. But there's a twist. Grizzlies exhibit delayed implantation. After fertilization, the embryo doesn't immediately attach to the uterine wall. Instead, it remains in a suspended state until the female enters hibernation, and her body determines whether she has enough fat reserves to support a pregnancy. Only if she's healthy will the embryo implant and develop. This evolutionary safeguard ensures that cubs are only born when survival chances are high. Cubs are born in midwinter, while the mother sleeps in her den. But unlike a deep, unbroken sleep, a grizzly bear's hibernation is a lighter state known as torpor. She doesn't eat, drink, or leave the den during this time, but she remains alert enough to wake and tend to her young. Usually she gives birth to 1 to 3 cubs, each weighing just 1 pound. Blind, hairless, and completely helpless, the cubs rely entirely on their mother's warmth and rich milk for survival. She nurses and protects them through the harshest part of winter, never once emerging from the den. As the weeks pass, the cubs grow stronger and more coordinated. By the time spring arrives, they're ready to venture outside and begin following their mother, learning to forage, avoid threats, and survive. These early months shape everything about their future in the wild. Evolutionary history. Grizzly bears belong to the species Ursus arctos, commonly known as the brown bear. They first appeared in Eurasia around 500,000 years ago, spreading into North America via the Bering Land Bridge during the last ice age. Once here, they diversified into subspecies: grizzlies in inland regions and Kodiak bears in coastal areas, the latter being the largest brown bears alive today. Grizzlies evolved in a landscape filled with megafauna: mammoths, saber-toothed cats, and dire wolves. To survive, they developed robust physiques, omnivorous diets, and behaviors suited for both predation and foraging. Their intelligence and memory, particularly regarding food locations, gave them an edge over more specialized species that vanished during mass extinctions. Genetically, they're closely related to polar bears, sharing a common ancestor roughly 400,000 years ago. In fact, in regions where their ranges overlap, the two can interbreed, producing fertile offspring known as grizzly or growler bears. This crossover highlights their shared adaptability and evolutionary proximity, reinforcing the idea that grizzlies are not just survivors, they're evolutionary shapeshifters capable of thriving across continents and climates. Role in the ecosystem. Grizzlies play a keystone role in their environment, influencing multiple layers of the ecosystem. As top predators, they regulate herbivore populations, preventing overgrazing and helping maintain plant diversity. This cascading effect supports a balanced habitat that benefits everything from songbirds to fish. Their presence alone shapes the behavior and movement of prey animals. But their influence doesn't stop with predation. Grizzlies are also critical seed dispersers. After consuming berries and nuts, they excrete the seeds over vast areas, often in nutrient-rich soil, promoting plant growth across the landscape. Some plants even rely on bears to spread and fertilize their seeds, a unique example of predator-plant cooperation. Perhaps their most dramatic ecosystem service is as nutrient distributors. When grizzlies pull salmon from streams and consume them on land, they transfer vital marine nutrients into terrestrial ecosystems. The remnants of their meals fertilize the soil, feed scavengers, and enrich the forest floor. In this way, grizzlies literally feed the forest, one salmon at a time. Threats and conservation status. Despite their power, grizzlies are not invincible. One of their greatest threats has always been humans. Habitat loss from logging, mining, and urban expansion continues to shrink the wild spaces they depend on. Roads fragment their territories, cutting off migration routes and increasing deadly encounters with vehicles. In some areas, prime bear habitat now lies dangerously close to human development. Conflict with humans over food is another major issue. Grizzlies have powerful noses and opportunistic diets, which often draw them into campsites, garbage dumps, and residential areas. Once a bear associates humans with food, it's often labeled a problem animal and killed. These deaths add up, especially in small, isolated populations where every breeding individual matters. Conservation programs have made a difference. In the US, grizzlies were once pushed to the brink of extinction in the lower 48 states, but protections under the Endangered Species Act helped stabilize populations in places like Yellowstone and Glacier National Parks. Today, they're still considered threatened in the contiguous United States, while populations in Canada and Alaska remain healthier. The future of grizzlies depends on continued habitat protection, human coexistence, and education that replaces fear with respect. Myths and cultural significance. Grizzly bears hold deep cultural meaning across the Northern Hemisphere. For many indigenous peoples of North America, the grizzly is a sacred being, respected for its strength, intelligence, and spiritual power. In some traditions, it's believed that bears walk between worlds, carrying messages from ancestors. Their image appears in totem poles, dances, and stories passed down through generations. In modern culture, grizzlies often symbolize wilderness itself, wild, untamable, and majestic. They've been featured in countless films, from nature documentaries to survival thrillers, but pop culture often oversimplifies them, painting them either as bloodthirsty beasts or cuddly forest icons. The truth is somewhere in between. Grizzlies are complex, emotional, and capable of both violence and gentleness. The term bear has also been used in military and sports branding to evoke strength and dominance. From Roman legions to modern hockey teams, the bear remains an enduring symbol of brute force and resilience. Whether feared, worshipped, or misunderstood, the grizzly bear has always stood at the crossroads of nature and legend, reminding us of what it means to survive against the odds. Unique and interesting facts. An astonishing feature of grizzly bears is their memory. Grizzlies remember food locations and seasonal timing better than most animals. A bear can recall exactly where a berry patch bloomed last year, or the exact bend in a stream where salmon gathered. This spatial memory is linked to a highly developed hippocampus, making them one of the most cognitively advanced predators in the animal kingdom. And here's something few people realize. Grizzlies have a massive bite force of 1,160 pounds per square inch, enough to crush bones with ease. Yet they're also capable of delicate movements, like peeling fruit or carrying cubs gently in their jaws. It's this contrast, raw power and refined control, that makes the grizzly one of nature's most remarkable survivors. Lastly, grizzlies have a jaw-dropping ability. They can dig pits several feet deep in minutes. Using their massive claws and brute strength, they excavate dens, unearth roots, and even flip heavy boulders in search of food. These digging skills are unmatched among land predators and play a vital role in soil turnover, enriching the forest floor over time. The grizzly bear is not just a predator, it's a force of nature, a master of survival, a guardian of the wild, and a symbol of raw dominance. But next, we take to the skies. High above the forests, cliffs, and rivers, another apex hunter rules. Sharp-eyed, razor-taloned, and impossible to outrun, the bald eagle. Stay with us.